Hello Internet, my name is the Golden Stalfos, and today I want to talk about why Usopp is one of the best characters ever written. Now I know I did a similar video about Luffy a little while ago, and no, I'm not going to do a video like this for every member of the Straw Hat crew because not all of them fit the description. They're all good, and they all interact well with each other, and they all have great backstory moments. But realistically, some of them are kind of just there to fill out the numbers and be funny. Um, I mean, like, Zoro is a really cool character, but he only exists to be badass and fight the second strongest dude. There's some more nuance, in moments when he's interacting with other characters, but that's about it. Um, and as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't warrant a very long episode about why that character is such a masterpiece of writing. Um, but Usopp does deserve that kind of treatment, and so that's what's going to happen today. So where does one begin when describing our Lord and Savior, God Captain Usopp? I think you really have to start with Ussop. Ussop is a character we don't see a whole ton of. He really only exists in flashbacks to the early days of Shanks' crew. Um, we see him in Luffy's introduction when Luffy is hanging out with Shanks' crew right before he gets his hat. And we see him in the special episode where Usopp duels Daddy the Father. Yes, that is actually a name of a character in this story because of course it is. And what do you know? He's a dad. And we also see him in a couple of flashbacks from Usopp when he's first introduced to the story. But not much more than that. Um, the thing is, though, that Usopp cast a shadow over Usopp's life in a way that not many characters do in this story. Like, no one else in this story is really chasing someone's shadow the way that Usopp is. Luffy may want to be the king of the pirates the way Roger was, and he may want to give his hat back to Shanks and all that, but realistically, he wanted those things before he knew who those people were, right? He's not trying to do what Roger did because Roger is so cool. He's trying to be the king of the pirates because he wants to be the king of the pirates. Because being the king of the pirates means being more free than anyone else. And that's Luffy, you know? And Zoro wants to be the world's greatest swordsman in part because of his promise to the dead girl, but he wanted that before he met her. He came to their dojo because he wanted to be the world's strongest and he wanted to train by challenging dojos. And, you know, it just seems a little bit different for characters like that. Whereas Usopp Usopp doesn't want to be the world's greatest sniper. He doesn't want to be the king of the pirates. He doesn't want to be the best in any way. And he recognizes where he falls short all the time. What he wants is a much more humble goal. He wants to be a brave man of the sea. He wants to live the way his father lived. He wants to be proud of his life and of his accomplishments. And he wants his father to be proud of him too. And the way that Ussop's influence hangs over him is palpable at all times. The reason Ussop became the town liar is because he wanted to make his mom feel better when she was dying. And telling her dad's coming back was the only lie he thought might help. And he later used those lies to help other people too. Um, which, by the way, if you think that's a really interesting concept for a story, it exists. It's a manga, and I could not fucking spell it or even pronounce it correctly, but I'm going to make an attempt. Itsuwarabito, I believe is how it's pronounced, but I'm not 100% on that. But anyway, it is a manga, and it's quite good. It's about a liar who lies to help people. It's top tier shit. But anyway, Usopp becomes a liar because the gap left behind by his dad. He becomes a sniper because of the gap left behind by his dad. He becomes a pirate because of his father. And it's not vengeful, right? Like, here in the West, we often think of absentee fathers as like a really bad thing, and obviously it is. But Usopp takes kind of the same approach that Gon does, where he wants to understand the mindset and admire the same things that his father admired. And he doesn't like blame his dad for leaving or for his mom's death or anything like that. He just wants to be a great man the way he thinks his father is. And that kind of drives everything about his character. He always sees himself as inferior to Usopp and always wants to reach further so that he can be like Usopp. Usopp isn't above making mistakes. He's cowardly, and he lies, and he's very prideful. And sometimes he has trouble admitting when he's done wrong, whether through weakness or arrogance or incompetence. But he does always strive forward. He does always push himself up and grow more and more, no matter what happens. When we first meet Usopp, his legs shake in every battle, but he always fights. There's this moment when he gets into a fight during the Arlong Park, right? He's fighting this one fishman who can shoot bubbles or whatever. And he runs. And for a moment, he considers bailing on the fight, pretending that he got beat up and just walking back in shame. And then he considers what would happen if that guy rejoined the fight against his friends. How would his friends hold up if they had to carry his weight too? And he realizes that a brave man can't leave others to do his share of the work. That even if it's dangerous, even if it could kill him, he has to make a stand here. And he pulls out every dirty trick he can, and he wins. And from then on, from that moment, he never runs like that again. There are lots of times when he isn't up to the task of fighting an opponent because he's not built for hand-to-hand combat. He's a sniper. But he never runs. He never gives up. And even when he's beaten and broken in a way that is just horrible to look at, he still fights. By the time we make it to Alabasta, he gets his ass destroyed by Mr. Two. And yet, he still stands up with Chopper and fights, who is it, Mr. Four? Is that his number? The mole lady and the guy with the baseball bat and their weird dachshund gun. Um, like, all of these things fit into the world seamlessly somehow. Oda, you absolute madman genius. Anyway. And that trajectory of growth continues throughout the story. Even as the fights get more and more out of control and the enemies get stronger and stronger, Usopp's resolve gets greater and greater. Right up until Water 7. Water 7 is a turning point in the story in a lot of ways. You know, the combined arc of Water 7 and Enies Lobby has a lot of huge moments for the series. Defining moments, even. They get a new ship. Luffy unlocks Gear 2 and 3. They get a new crew member. They rescue Robin. They declare war on the world government. And this is the first, and so far only time, well, depending on how you look at it, that a crew member leaves and Luffy has a fight with him over it. And of course, it's Usopp. When they get to Water 7, they find out that throughout the course of their journeys, probably because it was knocked into the sky and then fell out of the sky, the Going Merry is damaged in a way that can't be repaired. And they have to get a new ship. And in a lot of ways, the Going Merry is just a ship, right? But, and I mean, it's not like this is the first time they've changed ships. You know, for a little while they journeyed on random little dinghies that they happened to steal from other pirates. There was a chunk of the story where they just traveled on Yasuko's ship, or Johnny and Yasuko's ship, on their way to Kogayashi Village. And, you know, the Going Merry has been with them all this time, but at the end of the day, it is a ship. They can always get a new ship, right? But the characters don't see it that way. And honestly, as an audience member, hearing that the Going Merry was going away was absolutely heartbreaking. It is just a piece of wood. It has no emotions. It doesn't say or do anything in the plot, but it felt so much like home. This was the place where the Straw Hats always came back to. This was their place. This was their home. And now they had to leave it. And Usopp couldn't accept that. Now, admittedly, there could have been better communication between the various crew members over the circumstances, but at the end of the day, Usopp didn't want to give up on the Going Merry, even though they had to. And because of that, we get to see him be brave in a way that is hard to think about. Like, the power structure of the Straw Hats isn't super set in stone or anything, and lots of lots of arguments can be made for who's stronger than who. But it's pretty well accepted that Luffy is the strongest, and Usopp is bottom two, bottom three, maybe. And the gulf between them isn't small by any measure. So when Usopp says that he has to challenge Luffy for his pride and for his his home, it really does show how brave he is. He knew he was going to lose. He knew he had no chance right from the very beginning. Everyone on the crew knew that. Luffy knew that. But they went through with it anyway. This is a moment that looks like it's going to tear the Straw Hats apart forever. And honestly, if it wasn't for what happened with Robin, it probably would have. But during this whole sequence, well, after the fight sequence, we get some of Usopp's thoughts on the matter. You know, he's left the crew once and for all. And he decides that he wants to sail home. That he can't possibly make it on the Grand Line on his own. Heck, even being part of the Straw Hat crew, he expected he would fail sooner or later. And that's heartbreaking. I think that line, that moment, goes unnoticed amidst all the big moments in this arc. But the fact that Usopp truly believed that he wasn't going any further than this anyway, it's hard to bear. Especially when he's forced to go further. When Robin is kidnapped and they have to rescue her. When he takes on the identity of Sniper King so that he can rejoin the crew for one last mission. They go and get Robin back. And he fights like he's never fought before. He hits every shot. He does everything he possibly can for her. They get all the way up to the top of the tower. And he's the one who shoots down the flag. Luffy gives the order. It's really Luffy's big character moment for the most part. But it's also a moment for Usopp. Because Usopp realizes that he has the power to move forward. That with the right motivation, he can challenge any obstacle, even the world government. He doesn't question the order. He doesn't even stop to think about it. Because in that moment, when they're standing across the chasm looking at Robin, there's nothing else they could do. They couldn't possibly not shoot down the flag. They couldn't possibly not save her. They couldn't possibly turn around and go home. And Usopp has to stand there with them, has to push forward with them. There's no alternative. He has to be brave. He has to take on odds that he cannot stand up against. Enemies that Luffy had to reach new heights to contend with are right around the corner, and he will fight them. And he will win. And after he's done fighting, He stands on the tower and he saves the day. Without him, Robin would have been taken through the gates. That's all there is to it. The only reason she got out is because Sniper King was there. Because Ussop was there. Because he was brave and true. And because he shot all the enemies who stood in their way. Luffy had that big punch out with Rob Lucci, sure, but they were both left crippled from that. And Luffy couldn't save Robin on his own. He couldn't save her at all. You know, if they had to wait for Luffy to get back up, she would have gone through the gates. It would have been game over. Usopp saved the day there. There's another bit of recurring symbolism with Usopp. The first time we meet a true giant is on Little Garden. We meet two giants, Dory and Bragi, who have been dueling for centuries. And obviously, a century, and obviously, this is a big deal. You know, this is one of those shonen men of honor things that always happens. And of course, the characters recognize that too. And Usopp immediately declares that he wants to be just like them. He wants to be a brave warrior of the sea. And throughout the series, every time we encounter a giant, Usopp is there interacting with them. And, you know, in fact, on Ennie's lobby, there are two more giants that Usopp speaks to and informs them that, yeah, Dory and Bragi are fine. You guys can totally fight for what you believe in. And because of that, they're able to, you know, save the day. But I think this symbolism of Usopp standing next to literal giants, looking up to them, wishing he could be a warrior like them, is important to his story. And it shows that even someone who is small and weak, even someone who often loses, who is often put at the bottom of his own group, even they can have great goals. Even they can soar to new heights. And I also think it recontextualizes his goal of being a brave warrior of the sea. You know, he's not just wanting to be brave or just be a pirate. You know, he's been doing that this whole time. His goal is really much bigger than that, as big as the giants of Elbath. His goal is to be able to stand head and shoulders above other pirates, to stand side by side with legends like his father. He wants to be a great man, a great pirate, a great warrior of the sea. He wants to leave a giant shadow across the world the way his father's shadow rests on his legacy. Throughout the series, Usopp is one of the most important and yet underrated characters. Until such a time as they meet Frankie, Usopp is the one who does most of the ship repairs. Usopp comes up with all of the real iterations of the climate act until, I guess, the time skip. Usopp also makes his own weapons that are very diverse and interesting. And Usopp, as a character, doesn't get a whole lot of spotlight. But every time he does get the spotlight, you feel it. Every time they're in a desperate situation and they need a perfect shot, everyone trusts Usopp to do it, no matter how difficult it may be. And he does. On Dressrosa, there's a few moments where Usopp truly, completely changes the game. First, in his fight against the lady who makes everyone dolls, he spooks her so bad that she passes out and everyone stops being dolls. And that's a win. Um, but then a little bit later, when the big fight with Doflamingo is going on, there's this moment where Usopp has to hit a perfect shot. He has to fire, from across the entire city through this tiny little gap to hit this very important target that's going to be moving, and not a single person questions his ability. Every single member of the crew who is present with him looks at him and says, "You got this." And then he does. And he pulls it off flawlessly. Because Usopp isn't going to fail when it counts. Right? Usopp may be weak, he may be a coward, he may be a liar, but he is always there when it counts. He always stands up for what is right. He always stands up for his friends, and he always pulls through. And no one has ever suspected that he might not be able to pull through. Not a single member of the crew has ever doubted his ability to make the shot. Usopp is, as a character, he's a real goal, because the simple fact is, not everyone can be the Pirate King. Not everyone can be the world's greatest swordsman. But anyone can want to be better than they were yesterday. Anyone can want to be brave. Anyone can want to use whatever resources they have to push forward and conquer obstacles they shouldn't be able to. And Usopp does that. Usopp is an audience surrogate more so than any of the other Straw Hats. Because, as much as you may identify with Luffy or wish you could be as badass as Zoro or whatever, Usopp is real. Usopp is someone you could be like. You could be struggling with weakness in some area of your life and wish you could do better. And just like Usopp, you can do better. You may never be the best. You may never even be able to look at the best. But you can get better. You can build and grow and learn and struggle on until you're happy with the results. Just like Usopp. And I think that's a really important message for everyone. It doesn't matter where you choose to apply that lesson. Obviously, most of us are not getting into fights all the time, so it won't be about that. But, whatever it is, strive to be the brave warrior of the sea that Usopp believes you can be. It's okay if sometimes you aren't good enough, if sometimes you fall short of your goal. What matters is that you get back up, and that when the heat is on, when things really, truly depend on you, you do your absolute damnedest. And it works. And I just really appreciate it when characters like that get to shine, you know? Because the simple fact is, Usopp is what everyone wants underdog characters to be, you know? You watch stories like Naruto and you hear over and over again about how much he had to struggle and blah blah blah, but like, you didn't have to struggle, bitch. You were a reincarnation of Ninja Jesus. You had the most powerful demon in history shoved in your stomach. Your dad's the Hokage. Your teacher's the Hokage. Your other teacher's the other Hokage. Like, chill your shit. You know? You watch something like Hiroaka, and you spend an entire episode getting to know this poor kid who wants to struggle on to be a hero despite not having power. And you think, oh shit, this is going to be so good. And then he just gets his powers handed to him by the best hero in the world. And, you know, 2 years later, he's already got way more powers than that guy ever did. And it's just, fine, whatever, you know. Or all those anime where the main character has no power, but they have the ability to negate other people's power. Like, yeah, sure, that's not broken at all, whatever. But Usopp, you know, Usopp actually does have to struggle. He actually is the underdog. He truly does push hard to break past his barriers and be the man he wants to be. And he accomplishes that. And he always is an important part of the story. You know, like, I don't want to pick on Naruto too much, but in Naruto, there's this character called Rock Lee who can't do any of the cool ninja magic that everyone else uses. So he just gets really, really good at punching and kicking. And when he's first introduced, they make it seem like he's better at that than literally everyone else of his age group. Until Sasuke just learns how to do his same shit overnight just because he has magic eye powers. And then Rock Lee literally never does anything relevant ever again for the entire rest of the series. And it's just, come on, yeah. Like, I know you want to show off your cool ninja powers and shit, but like, how do you do that? How do you just gut your, it's so bad. Anyway, Usopp isn't like that. Usopp truly is the underdog who becomes a hero through his own perseverance. And we truly do get to see, you know, his resourcefulness. He incorporates lies, he incorporates new weapons, new tactics. You know, he's always building up his arsenal. Every time we get introduced to new technology, Usopp incorporates that technology to make himself, you know, better. And it's not like he neglects his physical training either. At least not post time skip. You know, like, post time skip Usopp is ripped. And one of the few design changes that I actually think is really, really good. Like, most of the post time skip designs, I think, are actually worse. Like, why does Chopper have a new hat over his old hat? What? Why did Nami and Robin, who were ostensibly already grown-ass women, suddenly get 3 sizes bigger? Like, yeah. And why are they always in bikinis now? Like, they didn't used to do that. Well, why did you need the fan service for that? That's dumb. Frankie's fine, I guess. I mean, he looks more ridiculous than ever, but that suits his character, so it's cool. Uh, I liked Zoro better with both of his eyes, and we still don't know why his other eye disappeared. So that's something. Um, Sanji is the fucking same, except he parts his hair on the other side. Whatever. Uh, Luffy's the same, except he's got that big ass scar now. And, um, I mean, I guess Brook has a bigger afro, I think. It's still Brook, you know. But yeah, most of the time skip designs are either not a change or a bad change. But Usopp looks better. He looks more confident, he looks more muscular, and honestly, he doesn't really have any moments of cowardice post time skip. Like there are times when he like makes a joke or when something seems, like he's out of his depth, but we never really see him be the comic relief I'm so scared character anymore. He's graduated from being regular Shaggy and moved on to Ultra Instinct Shaggy, um, and it's brilliant. I love it. Uh, so yeah, Usopp is a great character, and he's very inspiring as like a goal for the audience. And I just I really hope that everyone out there can appreciate Usopp for what he is, and you know, watch One Piece, man. It's so good. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next life. Laters. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you have any things to say about it, leave those in the comment section. If you like the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, share the video, tell your friends, start a cult, sacrifice your firstborn and paint their skull golden. I don't know, not that last bit. No human sacrifices. I'm legally liable. No, none of that shit. But, I got Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I stream on Mondays. I also have a Patreon, but the obvious caveat with Patreon is you never donate to anyone unless you have money to burn. And if you have money to burn, then why not donate to a charity instead? I've got a few linked in my description at all times. I'm not affiliated with any of them, obviously, but yeah, I just thought they were cool. So, thanks for watching.